is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning and welcome to Guardian Radio AM. Today is Friday, April 28th, and it's a little after 11 o'clock in the morning. Once again, this is Cecil Newry, and I shall be your host today as we have an interesting discussion about Bahamian history, one, and then we are having good news, big news on what is actually happening at and with Scotiabank. Right? But before we start, I have Mr. Jim Lawler here with me. But my special guest before everything starts will be Mr. Where's April name on this? I'm just going. Mr. Travis Russell. Is Travis Russell? Are you there connected?
Yes, sir. How you doing today, CA?
I am doing well, Travis. Doing well. And Travis is actually the Sales and Service Support Officer at Scotiabank. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I heard that big things, exciting things are happening at Scotiabank, and you actually here joining me to tell me what is happening there. So go ahead with me.
Big things, CA. Really, really big things. And thanks again for having me today. So one of the biggest things today, Scotiabank is actually a part of the Central Bank Financial Literacy Fair. The expo is happening today at Fusion Superflex. We actually have a wide range of services we're actually offering there, information on these services such as credit cards, loan options, how to use our e-commerce platform on the business banking standpoint, and then also educating our customers on using our self-service channels. So that's something really big that's happening today and tomorrow over at Fusion Superflex.
So I have 2 days of this then?
Yes. Today is day one and tomorrow is the final showdown.
So is it each day themed, or generally I wouldn't miss, if I miss today, that I wouldn't miss something tomorrow? You know what I'm saying?
No, I understand completely. So as far as for the Scotiabank booth, we'll be running the same content daily. We want every customer to get all the information possible.
And I want you basically to repeat what the benefits and exciting things that's happening. I heard that you're going to have loans officers there, right? And what type of loans can I come with? I just want to have an idea that I come planned. And what type of information should I bring?
So that's no problem, man. So once you do come, we have a wide range of loans it can be some Scotia Plan loans, our term loans. We have credit cards that we're actually offering. And then you can also speak to sales officers regarding any mortgages you may be interested in. So all of those options are available on site today.
So a full team is going to be out there then.
Yes,
and what time will your booth open?
So our booth is open from 9 a.m. straight up to 4 p.m. And we have a team of service officers along with sales officers. So any questions you have, we'll be able to help you.
And my child, she was selected to be out there today. So she should be, and if she's not there now, she should be on her way, right? In general, right? And of course, I'm going to text her now because she have a phone to say go to Scotia Bank. Will there be anyone there to give her information? And bring friends. Well, she brings a lot of friends. Go ahead.
Yes, tell her bring her friends. But we will have. So the main goal of our officers today, they're going to be moving around the event all day, interacting with customers. So if you walk directly to the booth, you will see maybe 1 or 2 persons there, but they will still be able to assist you.
Good. And in terms of partnering with the central bank, now, and everyone is talking about this sand dollar, right? And I know you're there for a specific reason in terms of offering the services and informing the guests who are there about the benefits, the wide range of benefits that Scotiabank is rendering to their customers, right? But there are a number of persons who are still unsure about sand dollar. Will there be people who say, well, this is how sand dollar can impact you, or some sort like that?
Yeah, so there are quite a few representatives here from Sand Dollar. But however, our main purpose today is to focus on financial literacy.
Yes.
We are really heavy behind educating our customers. We want you to know about our digital platforms. We want you to know about our self-service channels. We want to empower our customers. That's our biggest goal here today. Educate and empower.
And you know, I have a bank account at Scotia, right? And I haven't gone online to register as yet to do Scotia online. No, yeah, lazy. Yeah, forgive me. I'm one of those people who is vexed that, oh, I can't go inside no more. But will there be someone there to help me through that? Because I have to pass, so to pick up the child. So can I come there and get informed on how to get online and stuff like that?
100%. We'll even take it a step further. We'll sign you up on the spot. Our officers that are actually moving through the center today, they all have iPads that are connected to the internet, and they will sign you up on the spot.
Okay. And what about the mobile app? I get that in order to get ease with banking and transferring money. Will that do that too?
100%. So just as you said, our mobile app, you can make transfers to any account. You can pay bills, including your credit card and your mortgage, and you can even check your banking statements.
Mm-hmm. So
the mobile. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, the mobile app is honestly filled with features. So view account balances and transactions. You can pay your bills and set up recurring future date transfers. You can transfer money between your accounts, like I said. Send money to family and friends. You can even transfer money to third-party credit cards.
Okay.
All from within the app.
And I'm writing this down as you speak, right? I'm now between online and ATM person, right? Mm-hmm. And I heard people just get hit. You know what I mean? That their security information is got off, right? I want to know, will you be giving us any information on how security and how to protect your identification and stuff like that?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things we're actually promoting here is, so what we want you to do is first understand how our platforms work.
Okay. And
then the different security measures that we have in place to mitigate any fraudulent transactions. But we also just give customers a lot of tips on what to do to mitigate these things. And the biggest thing for us is Scotia Alerts. Have you ever heard of it?
I'm listening now. Scotia Alert. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the mobile alerts is a simple and easy way to stay on top of your account activity. It'll let you know the moment funds are taken from your account. So the second that Netflix charge hits your account for $16.19, mm-hmm. you will see a notification from Scotiabank saying that there has been activity on your account for this particular amount.
Walk me through all of this?
100%.
That's nice. This is a big thing. What about, I know you said it's financial advice and information. What about, I know this word called actuary. That's what the child says she's going to do. I'm not sure what an actuary is, right? Will there be someone who can give me financial advice on how to protect my money and stuff like that?
100%. So our loan officers, they're actually trained as financial advisors as well. So they will be able to offer you advice and solutions to, one, protect your money and also help your money make money for you.
That's always good. And like you said, when I come out there, I need someone to help me to get online, to do banking online, right? Yes, I'm scary. Is my money safe during this banking transaction type thing before I start this?
No, trust me, I'm scary too. But within the app is secure. So the first thing is, so all transactions that happens on your account, they're monitored, they're traceable, and they're secure. And the biggest thing for me is it reduces the risk of walking with cash.
Yeah.
Walking with those large amounts of cash today, it's a hazard.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm, and to actually get into our mobile app, there's a login verification process where you actually have to use biometric data to get into the application. And then it's also password protected as well.
And when you say biometric data?
So by biometric, I mean you can either use your fingerprint to get inside, you can use your Face ID, you can do iris scanning. All those biometrics that are worked into these fancy phones we have today, all of those can be used within the app to protect you as another layer of protection.
I needed someone to tell me about this long time, man, because
that's why you
have the account
down to Fusion today.
Because I have a Scotia account, but I didn't know all of this benefits exist. So I'm excited now that I can go down there and that there'll be someone who can walk me through this step, especially with this online banking. And now you're making me feel at ease that I ain't got to worry about my money with using my phone. So I feel good.
No, man, you're safe. You're honestly safe. And here's another thing.
Okay.
So we have a security program that runs within our online banking platform that constantly monitors your transaction in the background. So it studies your banking patterns. It studies how you use your money. So once it detects any unusual transfer patterns or something that's out of the norm, the transaction is instantly blocked or flagged.
This big thing Scotia doing, man.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Man,
sir.
I need to have you on for an hour just to go through the benefits, because I'm excited now. Because like I said, I have the card. I just didn't know that it could do all of these things. And the idea that you could be out there from when to when?
We'll be out there from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. today, and same thing tomorrow.
All day then? All day?
All day. All day.
And there'll be people there to help me. Like I say, I want to be guided through this. All my phones light up when I said that. Or I need you. Are you able to take calls? Because I used to have people asking me questions now. Travis?
Am I able to take calls?
Yeah, I've got people asking me questions now of what was happening at Scotia. So I'm going to patch them through. Let me see what they're saying. Go ahead, producer. Patch them through. Caller, can you hear me? Caller?
Hello.
Hi, I'm talking to Travis Russell from Scotiabank. The big things happening there.
Well, I hope I'm interested. I'm listening. I hope Scotiabank, along with a lot of those Canadian banks, that they will really take small business people serious in the Bahamas, because only in the Bahamas there's things that are happening the same that not be happening everywhere else. So and they make a lot of money here in the Bahamas. Otherwise, they would not be here in the Bahamas. And the taxes and the fees sometimes become exorbitant. So I'm just looking forward that they come in with something new, that they're looking into helping the small business truly, rather from a real standpoint, rather than the conversation.
Okay. Travis, the gentleman has a small business and he wants to get advice on how Scotiabank will benefit him. Will there be someone there answering small business issues?
Most definitely, most definitely. We have 3 members from our small business and commercial banking team. They're actually here today doing demos on our e-commerce platform, demos on our merchant services, and also general account inquiries. They're just here all day today and tomorrow to walk you through those things.
Oh, nice. But I have one more caller who wants to ask a question. Producer, patch him through so we get it to Travis. Caller, can you hear me? We're talking to Travis Russell. We're talking about Scotia, all the things they're offering. Go ahead, I can hear you.
Yes, sir. Good day to you and good day to the gentleman. I just wanna, if I could have like 5 seconds of your time. Being a media personnel and the platform you are given, you are blessed with, right? And I give kudos to the gentleman, the young, sound like Bahamian guy that came on as a representative for Scotiabank. But the last time Scotiabank was in the media, it was about all the taxations and fees that they were charging the Bahamian people, and we were kind of trying to get rid of.
That's an odd question, Travis. But there are people who are concerned about the fees. I assume someone will be there to explain which each fees are for and the benefits the fees offer, or what Scotia charging, right?
Yeah, yes, definitely. So we will have persons on the ground going through everything. But sir, can I get your name?
He missed and got disconnected there.
Oh, he got disconnected.
But you can reach out, just to give him the information that if he called text back, I can make sure he gets the information.
Yes, definitely. I really implore him to come down to Fusion today so we can really talk through things. Because a lot of times, a lot of fees that customers are saying, they are mentioned during account opening. Mm-hmm. But however, we tend to forget sometimes as people in general. So today would be a good reminder just to go through some of those fees so customers can understand what's actually happening with their account and be educated as well.
I have one more call here, Travis. So let me patch them through so you can address them. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, forget 96.9. Y'all have cut people off. Y'all full of shit.
Oh, ouch. I'm not sure what happened there, Travis, but I guess that gentleman is vexed. But again, give me a rundown happening today and tomorrow.
Fusion, once again, we will be here all day, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Fusion Superplex, where we're just here to assist all our customers, from the young to the mature to the new homeowners, to the first car time buyers, to the credit card holders. We're here to assist you. all day. And also, CA, just one more plug I wanted to make.
Go ahead.
Tomorrow, as an additional part of us educating our customers and making banking accessible for all, we are hosting a digital Saturday. We actually have been for each Saturday in the month of April. All of our branches all 7 branches within Nassau will be open tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So we really implore all customers, please visit the branches. No, you cannot do any cash transactions. There won't be any cash transactions. However, this is a good time for you to sit down with the officer and actually understand your account, understand the benefits of your account, understand the benefits of digital banking. We know not everyone has time during the week to sit down for an hour and just talk and understand, but this is your opportunity.
So,
this is your time. So Saturday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., all Scotiabank branches.
It should be like an open house where you come and ask all the questions and queries. And like a gentleman who's vexed just now, you can say, these are my concerns, and then you go and explain the benefits of these things.
100%. 100%. This is your opportunity.
See? There you go, caller who called. This is your opportunity, right? To engage Scotia. They're open, they're willing. And if you can pass by Fusion today, 9 until 4, they have a cadre of a team who will assist with answering questions and providing information and giving all the benefits Scotiabank in general. But go ahead, I'll give you the last word, Travis, before you go.
Yes, sir. So let's not forget, Digital Saturdays, tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., all Scotiabank branches in Nassau, Bahamas. And also come on down to Fusion Superplex today between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. and visit the Scotiabank booth today and tomorrow.
Yeah, and that was Travis Russell, who is the sales manager, right, Travis? Sales and service support officer, that is?
Yes, sales and service support for retail banking.
Nice. And I appreciate the information that you gave, right? Because I definitely will pass today because I need to get this online thing on or get together so I can actually do some transfers. This going on the bank line, not bank line, the ATM, the withdraw money, it's getting kind of scary now. So I appreciate this.
Yes, sir. And see, I'll be waiting to see you today.
I can come look out for you. I can say use my cousin.
Please do, man. See you soon, CA.
Yes.
Have a good one.
Thank you very much. This is Guardian Radio in the AM with CA Newry. Of course, we was talking about Scotiabank and the benefits they're doing. They're going to be at Fusion Superplex today from 9 until 4, answering questions and queries about the bank, and they're giving out the benefits, especially on their online platform and the credit card information. So go down there. And, of course, they have an open house also on Saturday where you can go and ask questions about your account. We'll be right back.
After a brief layoff, Fish Fry Fridays is back in the big carnival month. The Big Band Visage will get you in the mood for the big carnival road march in the streets of Nassau. That's right, it's the pre-carnival edition of Fish Fry Fridays, May 5th at Margaritaville, downtown Nassau. Featuring Visage, DJ AI, and special guest models from the Euphoria Madness Masquerade Band, modeling their costumes that will be on the road for Carnival. Fish Fry Fridays is back May 5th. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. $25 general admission. $55 buffet and party. Don't miss Fish Fry Friday. Back with the pre-carnival edition.
Beulah gal, can you believe this? We are now the patrol queens of the neighborhood. We now large and in charge. So we need to check out what's going on in everybody's yard. What about that gun that we know that Junior and his homeboys just ran out? Can we report that too? Of course we can. But we could be in deep trouble if they find out. We need to report what we see, Beulah. When you call Crime Stoppers, they just answer your call in Miami. So then we can report everything? Guns, where they hiding the drugs, who shoot who part of which gang, or who disturbing the peace with the loud music and the motorcycles. Then our neighborhood will be the best in the Bahamas, and everybody gonna want to come live here. And then our house price will go up, gal. So what we waiting on? What's the number?
If you see something, say something. Let us all pitch in and stop the crime before it's your time. Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands. Or text us through the Crack Crime Bahamas app. Stop the crime before it's your time.
And welcome back to Guardian Radio in the AM with C.A. Newry. And I am excited because I have Jim Lawler here in studio with me. And Jim Lawler is like a big time historian to the Bahamas. Everybody knows him. But he's also vice president of the Bahamas Historical Society, or the Historical Society of the Bahamas. So to get him here in person, in studio, is big things because if you know about history, if you care about Bahamian history, you know that one must go to Historical Society to get the information. But I want to know, who is this Jim Lawler, right? But before I go and ask him his history about himself, I want some information about the Historical Society of the Bahamas. Am I saying the right name or doing it backwards? So start off with that. And when they meet and why does it exist, or who are they?
The Bahamas Historical Society. Well, we were founded in 1959, and we have a president, and we have two vice presidents, and I'm the correspondent secretary also. Mm-hmm. So our aim is to promote and disseminate history, and to do that, we have a monthly talk. Usually, we try to put it on the last, either the third or fourth Thursday of the month. We try to have fundraisers, but due to COVID, we haven't had them for the last 2 or 3 years. But we do have a lunch coming up at the Yacht Club, either late May or early June. So we have a talk every month, a lecture at the museum. The museum is located on the corner of Shirley Street and Elizabeth Avenue. We received the building in 1976 from the IODE, the Imperial Order of the Daughters of the Empire, and we made it into a museum. We also have a journal that comes out every year it's the oldest academic journal in the Bahamas, and there are about 4 or 5 articles. The new journal coming out features, I have 2 articles in it. One about Henry Adderley, the first Bahamian millionaire, and the second is a genealogical correction of the early settlers by A.T. Bethel. Eric Weiberg has an article about the Bahamas in World War II, and Dr. Harold Munnings has an article on a ship that came here with cholera. So that's coming up. The journal is that in the publisher at the moment, so it should be out in about 3 weeks.
So let's talk about this journal. Is this something to purchase?
Well, you get it free with your membership, or you could pay $10 to buy it.
Oh, that's affordable. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And the Historical Society, what's the correct name? Is it Historical Society of the Bahamas or the Bahamas Historical Society?
The Bahamas Historical Society.
Okay, Bahamas Historical Society.
And we have a website, the BahamasHistoricalSociety.org, mm-hmm. And we have a Facebook, which is the Bahamas Historical Society Facebook. And our email is the BahamasHistoricalSociety@gmail.com.
You provide history, you record history, you give out history of the Bahamas, right?
Only the history of the Bahamas.
And only the history of the Bahamas.
Yes.
So I see you mentioned the word genealogy, mm-hmm. right? And you mentioned specific things that happen in the Bahamas, right? You have 2 articles inside the book. You mentioned the cholera ship. And I know we had a island off of Nassau that you put the cholera patients.
Oh, Athol Island, yeah.
I'm going to your mememory now,
yeah.
Right?
Well, in the museum we have the top of that building, the cornice. Call it cornice. Anyway, the peak, like how a weather vane would be on top of the building. We have that in the museum.
Now, and you mentioned museum. What do you mean by the Historical Society has a museum?
We have a museum located on the Shirley Street corner of Elizabeth Avenue. And if you come in, you could go around and we have Lucayan exhibits. We have Pirate. We have Woodes Rogers. We have the Loyalists. We have a tribute to the IODE on the stage. Then we have sailing ships. And then we have things like straw and old photographs. It's a wonderful place.
Yes, it sounds exciting.
The people, when we had our AGM last night, Tom Wardle, who is he's a Bahamian Canadian or a Canadian Bahamian, he comes down from Canada and he volunteers, and he was talking about how how many people from different countries came, right from Latvia, Brazil, Nigeria, all over the world, come to the Bahamas Museum to talk about our history. And me, as correspondent secretary, I answer the letters in the Bahamas Historic on the email. And my daughter and I are conducting a tour for an American family in July who want to know about the history of the Bahamas and have a guided tour. So we do all kinds of things. It's a wonderful place, but little known. Our greatest population of visitors are from the cruise ships and sometimes the hotels. We get very, very few Bahamians unless they want to do research. And of course, we help them with the research by, we have the journals available. And I no longer go in as a volunteer since COVID. But if someone comes and asks a question, they'll put me on the phone and I'll answer questions about history.
So the Bahamas Historical Society, the building itself, right, it serves as a place, a reservoir where you can research on the Bahamas. And as the correspondent person there, right, there are people from around the world who actually reach out to say, I need to know this about the Bahamas?
Yes. A lot of it is genealogy, which sometimes I can help with and sometimes I cannot. But somehow over the years I've picked up a lot on genealogy.
Let's talk about genealogy then, right? Because I do genealogy as a hobby, right? And downstairs, as we were waiting, one of the gentlemen said he was a Johnson. And of course you jump inside the conversation because you're excited, right? To say, and he mentioned that, I descend from 3 brothers.
Yeah.
And then you made a quick joke, what I normally say too. And I said, look at you, Mr. Lawler.
The legend.
Yes, go ahead with that legend.
Okay.
And then explain to me, if I'm researching on my surname, right, how do I go into the Bahamas Historical Society and get help? But let's go with that, the quicker you said downstairs, and then we move to that.
Well, you wouldn't go into the Bahamas Historical Society. You would go into the Bahamas Department of Archives on Mackey Street.
Okay.
And they have the Christchurch records and other Methodist church records and different island records where you can. It's painstaking to go through the microfilms on the machine, but you can research there. We don't deal really with genealogy at the museum. It just so happens that I'm very interested in people. I've always been curious about people. I actually ended up as a guidance counselor in my career because of my interest in people. And an interesting thing on genealogy just last week, when Chris Davis was talking about his book, Black Press, Victor Wiley there asked me if I knew anything about his relative, his ancestor that was Cujo on the William Wiley plantation at Clifton. And I was able to show him in my book, From Africa to the Bahamas, that Cujo came on the Joanna as an 18-year-old boy, a Coromantine, which is an Akan or a Shanty man, and was apprenticed to William Wiley at Clifton. And so just that one instance, I was able to help because of that.
So let's go to you now, right? Okay. Because I wanted to hear about the Historical Society because people, a few Bahamians actually know it's there. And that is a reservoir of wealth of information.
And a lot of people say
it's a secret society.
But it's not.
It's open to the public.
It's open to the public. And then it gets to the blame of being the Eastern Road crowd. But Eastern Road crowd were the big people in the old days when it was founded. But now, every Bahamian can come. It's black or white, you can come.
And you have monthly meetings?
Sorry?
You have monthly meetings?
Monthly meetings.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we don't have them in July and August for the summer. But from September through to June.
And you earlier, I soon get to you now. You talk about the word, you use the word talks. That every month you have talks. What do you mean by talks?
Well, it's a lecture really, like on different subjects. Like in I think it was January, we had Wayne Neely talking on his book about the Hurricane Dorian. We had Scott Johnson from the Natural Trust talking about prehistoric creatures in the Bahamas, usually snakes, and the barn owl. And that was very interesting. I mentioned Chris Davis last week about the black press and the origins of Junkanoo. I think it was in September, my daughter and I did a talk in history, and I talked about the Burma Road riot, and she talked about her research on the Bahamas as a maritime highway. My daughter, Lisa, Dr. Lisa Lawler Feller, I got to say, is a assistant professor teaching history at the University of the Bahamas. So we'll keep it in the family.
Yes, and you are part of a history family. Your father-in-law was Paul Aubrey,
who wrote the story of the Bahamas.
Basically, every history book is based on Paul Aubrey's.
Any book you'd pick up on the Bahamas would have him in the footnotes and some reference to Paul Aubrey.
Yes, and Paul Aubrey gives the history of the Bahamas, the history of the of government, the history of the kinds, the history of pirates and everything regarding the Bahamas. But you too are a historian, right? You do research. In fact, you just published a book.
Yep.
Right. What's the name of your book?
From Africa to the Bahamas. Now, in that book, it was originally going to be about the settlement of liberated Africans in the Bahamas. Liberated Africans is the term that they use for the Africans who were on slave ships bound for Cuba, but intercepted by the British Navy after the 1807 abolition of the slave trade. And so the first 6 ships from Africa were adjudicated in the Nassau Vice Admiralty Court. And of course, the first 3 ships were in 1811. The next ship was 1816, and then one in 1818. And then from then on, due to the mixed commission, they were adjudicated in either Sierra Leone or Cuba, due to treaties with Spain and Portugal and America. And so the book, So when I saw in the research that the white inhabitants of the House of Assembly, savages and primitive, and actually I had lived in Africa for 2 years. A couple of years before I came here, I lived in Zambia, and I used to run with the local guys, and I played cricket with 10 Pakistanis in a cricket team. So I really knew that cultures are different. It's not that people's cultures are wrong or evil or anything. It's just that it's a different culture. For instance, the Akan Ashanti have an amazing communication system. They have what you call talking drums, and they can pass messages on the talking drums for 200 miles by relays. They also, their robes are made of kente cloth, and on the kente cloth, the color signifies things like blue for the sky, green for the forest, gold for royalty, etc. And the patterns are symbols of legends, history, proverbs, and that sort of thing. So they actually have a different communication system to, say, Europeans reading literature to learn stuff.
Yeah. So I'm excited, right? Being a person of African descent, living in the Bahamas, right? And I find that they had the salt water underground railroad where persons from enslaved African from the United States escaped to come to the Bahamas.
Yeah, Harriet Tubman.
And yes.
Yeah. It's
Right.
funny, there was just a Jeopardy question on that last night.
Yeah. And so I want to know, in your book, in your research, can African Bahamians or people of African descent trace back any information to those people who were freed after the slave trade was over?
In my book, I had 849 names typed. I typed the name, the tribe, the English name that they were given, and who they were apprenticed to. Mm-hmm. And I actually was able to analyze the marriages, ages, etc. I've got a very interesting story about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's in two parts, and it's partly due to the Haitian Revolution, and it's partly due to this abolition of the slave trade that I was telling you about. The Haitian part of it is that there was a French officer. This is like during the Haitian Revolution in 1802. The French officer Etienne Delette sent his, I don't know what his relationship, but the lady who bore his child, and she brought 3 children. Stephen Delette, who was the first colored man, one of the first colored men in the House of Assembly. Edward Laroda, who was one of the early men in the House of Assembly. And John Goodman. I'm not sure if Goodman wasn't an Anglican translation of his Haitian name. But Goodman's Bay is named after John Goodman.
Yes.
He's a rich man. On the other side of the story, on the El Atravito that came in 1811 with, I think it was 250 odd liberated Africans, a young girl called Myga, M-Y-G-A, from Mongol. She was a Mongala. That was like from Congo person, 9-year-old. She was the only one that married a white man.
Really?
She was apprenticed to Mrs. Simonet and Captain John Simonet, who operated as a captain between Andros and Nassau.
Yes.
And when Mrs. Simonet died, he married Myga, and they had a daughter, Mary. Mary married Stephen Delette. They had a daughter called Helen Louise Delette. And she married an American man called James Johnson, who came to Nassau and was a head waiter at the Royal Victoria Hotel during blockade running. He managed to save enough money between his tips and his salary to buy a sponging boat and then a horse and carriage to carry the sponges. But the 1866 hurricane wiped the sponging out. So he and Helen, who were married in Christchurch Cathedral, went to Jacksonville. In Jacksonville, they had 2 sons and I think a daughter. The first son was James Weldon Johnson.
I know who that is.
Yeah, the man who wrote Lift Up Your Heads. To lift up your hearts and sing.
Yeah.
James Weldon Johnson was, he went to university, qualified as a teacher, became a teacher. He studied law, became a lawyer. He was for the Harlem, he was a big man in the Harlem Renaissance. The first president, Roosevelt, appointed him as ambassador to Venezuela and then Nicaragua during the time when the Americans invaded Nicaragua. And then he was befriended by W.E. Du Bois, William Du Bois. Now, it's interesting because William Du Bois' grandfather was born in Long Key or Fortune Island, down at Crooked Island.
Yeah.
Du Bois persuaded James Weldon Johnson to become secretary of the NAACP, National Association of the Advancement of Colour People. And as secretary, he went round the different cities talking about African history and African civilization. He actually died in 1938 due to, I'm not sure, one source I read said a car crash and one said a train crash. So I'm assuming that he went onto a crossing and got hit on his car and got hit by a train.
Mm-hmm.
But a great, great man.
Man, you're awesome choice. I have someone on the phone who wants to engage you. Let me patch them through so we can do that. Go ahead, producer. Patch them through. Go ahead, caller.
Good morning, Mr. Newry. How you doing?
Doing well. How you doing?
Good morning.
To your guest. You know, I did. I'm so glad to hear what you're talking about to your guest, because I was doing a family, trying to do a family tree on my family. My family is called the Fountain family. They used to live on top of West Street Hill.
Uh-huh.
The people living on top of West Street Hill, they used to call them the Hilltoppers.
The east or the west?
On the west, right around that, the Fountain and the Nashes and so forth.
Yeah.
On the same road where St. Francis Cathedral is, right, the top of the hill. Now, I was trying to do a follow-up on the fountains. I got as far as my grandfather, Harold Jackson Fountain, who died in 1955.
Mm-hmm.
Then I tried to follow up further back than that with all my uncles and so forth, but everybody seemed to be hush-mouthed or nothing. I don't know if it's because of the fountain names. I found out there's a lot of fountains down in Haiti.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of fountains down in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
And one time I went on Facebook, Mr. Newry, and I put this thing on Facebook. I say, the fountains should get together and have a fountain reunion.
Yeah.
Mr. Newry, I've been looking at the telephone book in the Bahamas, and all I could have seen was 11 fountains registered in the telephone directory. But I know a lot of the Fountain brothers had a lot of daughters.
I taught some of them
at different names, like Roll and Gibson and stuff like that. So most of the names that are listed there are the men in the Bahamas, only 11. But Mr. Newry, it was so surprising to me when I put the thing on Facebook. Thousands of fountains all over the United States, from Michigan, New York, Canada, California, all over. Fountains are all over. So they either came from France. Fountain is a French name, which is fontaine. And they either came from France into Haiti, and during the revolution and so forth, they came into New Orleans, and some came up in the Bahamas. And I believe back then, maybe it was shameful to say that you were from Haiti. So the fountains seemed not to want to discuss and have no fountain reunion, because people got asked them about their name, and people said, you come from Haiti.
Yeah.
All of us came from Africa somehow. We came from the east, and they came west, and they met some people.
Give you some insight in terms of how to research that information.
I taught several fountains at St. John's College in the early 80s. Alfred was one of them, and Michelle. Very interesting that you should say that, but I actually know about a man called Julien Lafontaine, and he was when Woodes Rogers came here in 1718. He brought I'm not sure how many exactly, but it was at least 9 families of people from Palatinate, Germany. Palatinate, Germany had been Roman Catholic, and then they changed to be Protestant. And then when the daughter married one of the princes of Spain, it became Roman Catholic again. And so all these Protestant Huguenots left that area. And among them were Swiss and French refugees, so that Lafontaine could either be a Swiss French name or a French name early on. That was from 1718 on. And that Julien Lafontaine actually owned a punch house in the 1740s, I found a taxation there in the archives of several people who had bars and punch houses that were taxed to go towards the church. But you'd have to go back to the Department of Archives, and it's time consuming. But you just got to scroll through the microfilm on either Christ Church or Methodist Church. Do you know if they're Anglicans or Methodist or Catholic or?
Yeah, and we'll discuss that again when you come back, because we know we can have a series and talk about it. But I have another guest on the line, Producer Patch, that's true. Because I know you also stayed at the Royal Victoria, and I said, I don't know anyone alive in the Bahamas who actually stayed at the Royal Victoria Hotel, and I want to hear about that. But let me go to this caller. Okay. Go ahead, caller. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon, CA.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. This is a wonderful topic today, and I just wanted to make a comment. You just listen to all the rich, beautiful history of the peoples of the Bahamas, which we understand all kinds of people, mostly African, who then was transported to this place that we call home. And I just wonder if we could have more of the information that this great Bahamian is sharing with us, so that we could understand more about who we are, because, the challenges. We hear so much about the New World and the Arawaks and Caribs, and all that is fine. It's small part of our history, but it doesn't connect to us. We're not descendants of Arawaks or Caribs. We are descendants of Africans who were transported to this part of the world from another place. So it's amazing the amount of contributions that Bahamians through genealogy have delivered to the entire world, I would say. And we don't know the depth and the length of our Bahamian greatness. But persons like the one in your studio is just helping us to shed a little light on it. And I'm truly impressed by the body of knowledge that the gentleman has shared today. And that's my comment.
Thank you very much.
It's only taken 40 years of research to get there.
Yeah, and thank you very much, caller. I'm a premier researcher in the Bahamas. He researches all day, and if you need to see his resume on what all books and what all journals he has contributed in terms of research, and hopefully I'll be able to read that in there. But Mr. Lawler has agreed to continuously come on the show, and we'll be discussing aspect of Bahamian history and going in detail. He's going to be I'm hoping to have it on every Friday, but we're still working on the details on that. But we're going to have a history show where we discuss Bahamiana, from whence we came, various families, family names, big incidents that happen in the Bahamas that resonates throughout the world. So that's where he comes in, and he'll be helping me with that. But once upon a time, when you immigrated to the Bahamas, years and years ago, you stayed
27th of December, 1968.
Just after majority ruled.
Yeah.
Different type of Bahamas, right? Yeah. You stayed at the Royal Victoria Hotel.
I did.
I thought it was closed down by then, right?
It only lasted about another 6 months after that.
I want you to tell me about that era and tell me about that hotel. And a few people know where the Royal Victoria Hotel is. That's where the Central Bank was going to be built, where they changed their mind last minute, opposite the old post office, which is no longer there either. I think that was the first hotel to be built, if I'm not wrong, in the New Providence, right? And that was during Prohibition. But go ahead.
It was the first one of size, yeah.
Okay.
It was actually built and opened in 1861, just in time for the blockade running. But I got to tell you, the when I landed in the Bahamas, the drive from the airport was extra special, if you can imagine. People might not appreciate this, but the base of the trees, the first 6 foot of the palm trees were painted like a luminous white. And so when I was driving down, it just seemed like a magical place, you know. Mm-hmm. And when we drove into the gate of the Royal Victoria, just opposite, just on Parliament Street there, just as we drove in the gate, there was Little Joe and his Calypsonians up in the treehouse playing the Dr. Zhivago theme. Somewhere, my love, we'll dance the whole night through. And I loved that song. And we stayed at the Royal Victoria Hotel, and we were going to open the Nassau Technical College, which is now BVTI area. We were the first teachers to teach there. And because the hotel had, we had the Minister of Education put us up in the hotel, but we had to pay our own food. So we would eat one evening in the dining room of the Royal Vic, and the other time in either Kentucky Fried or the Golden Dragon on Charlotte Street, Charlotte Street, I think it was. But this is the funniest story. On New Year's Eve, before New Year's Eve, I heard all this drumming. And when I had been in Zambia a couple of years before, when we heard drumming, the white people would say, "Oh God, I hope there's not going to be a revolution." So I come to the Bahamas and hear this drumming, and I think, "Oh man, what's this drumming?" So anyway, on New Year's Eve, we ate and then at midnight, I went swimming with this guy from Buffalo, and we having a drink of whiskey and swimming in the pool. And then about 2 o'clock, there was a move towards Bay Street. So I said, what's going on here? So I go out the gate, and I bump into a guy that became my best friend for a few years, Dave Jenner, who ended up the principal of St. Andrew's School in the end. But I said to Dave, he says, "Oh, it's Junkanoo." So I realized now I went to my first Junkanoo.
Yes.
And realized what the drumming was about. It wasn't any rebellion. It was entertainment and competition. Yeah.
Mr. Lawler, I got to bring you back. I have a text now saying that the show is too short. Why bring you on like this? So I'm going to make an appointment for next week, where we will start on your arrival to the Bahamas, right? We'll start we'll rehash that Royal Victoria hotel stay. We'll rehash your thoughts from coming in the airport, driving, you being a Briton, a Englishman, coming to a country that just recently got majority rule in '67, a black-led country where there was social turmoil of uncertainty, where the white Bahamians were uncertain as the future. I want you to talk about that and your experience being a teacher here in the Bahamas. So when we come on next week, we'll start from there.
Okay.
So that was Jim Lawler from the Bahamas Historical Society, and I'm going to make an appointment for him to come back on. And Guardian Radio AM, have a wonderful day.